Hey, what's up guys? Matt here with Fix Anything Save Money. Today we are going to be showing you how to replace the carburetor on this Echo GT2000. You can see the model number right there. So we're going to be walking you through this process step by step, showing you the tools you need, and then I also want to show you guys the carburetor kit that I got for this machine. This is made by a company called Hypa. And if you've never heard of this company, I highly recommend you check them out. They make carburetors and other small engine parts for trimmers like this one, blowers, mowers, you name it. They pretty much make a carburetor for it. And they always fit on exactly like the OEM. And you also get, which I love, you get a bunch of other things for it. You can see here we have new fuel line, spark plug, air filter, a new gasket, and they even give you a priming bulb. So they give you a whole bunch of stuff if you want to tune it up while you're changing the carburetor out. I'm probably going to make a separate video on a quick tune-up. This video is going to be only on the carburetor change, so we'll dive right into it. But like I said, company is called Hypa, and I highly recommend you check them out. So reasons you might want to change your carb: if your machine is running really rough, if it starts up and then just, stops after a couple of seconds, if it's not idling correctly, if it's not starting at all, those are all signs that your carb is probably bad, needs to be cleaned or changed. So this video is going to be showing you how to change it. So we'll dive right in. The only tools we need here, a Phillips, and I like to have a flathead. These carburetors are really easy to change out. They're really not bad. Echo makes it very easy to do maintenance on these machines. So the first thing we're going to do is just remove this wing nut. Okay, and then you're going to see the air filter that comes out with it. Now if you're going to clean and replace the air filter, I recommend cleaning it with like Dawn and hot water and just letting it dry on a windowsill. You don't ever want to put these back in wet. Okay, so there's how that would go back in, like that. We'll just set that off to the side for now. And now what that does is it exposes the two bolts that hold everything in place right here. And these are Phillips head. So we'll go ahead and remove those, turning them counterclockwise. And what's going to happen is most likely a gasket's going to drop down, or the gasket might be kind of fused to the carburetor. So we'll go ahead and remove this. And I like to just leave this all together with the bolts kind of up the same way. Okay, so now we are at the carburetor, and you can see here we have our throttle cable. To remove that, we're literally just going to push it up, push the cable up, or slide the carburetor up like that, and then just remove the cable. And now the only thing holding the carburetor in is the fuel line and the discharge line. And I'll go over that with you guys in detail, because that is the most common question I get on these, is which line goes to which. So you can see here, this blue line right here, that just goes down and terminates about an inch down into the tank. That's your discharge. So all the extra fuel that comes out of your carburetor that's not being used empties out back into the tank. That's this line. It's usually the closest one to the priming bulb. And then your actual fuel line is right here. That runs up into this nozzle back here. And then, just for your own information, this is just a breather tube right here, and that's just the housing for it, like that. So this is where I like to take a flathead and just pry these lines off. And then this is also a very good time to inspect these lines. Now if you have fuel in your carburetor and in your tank, I recommend just putting it in an oil catch pan, because when you remove these lines, some fuel is going to leak out. So you might want to just have it in a catch pan, be wearing gloves if you want. So like I said, this line right here, this goes to the front of the carburetor. That's your discharge. It empties the excess fuel out. And then this is your actual fuel line. This is connected to the fuel filter inside, which is like this. So you can see exactly how it is. And that's just your breather tube that dumps out the extra fuel. And then, or not your breather, this is your discharge, and then this is your breather tube right here. So if you do have cracked lines, you could just replace this very easily. This is just a rubber grommet right here. And you just pop that out with a screwdriver and then push the new one in, and you have brand new fuel line. Okay, so we have our old carburetor. Then we have our new carburetor. It's going to go on just like that. So what I like to do is hook the fuel lines up first. Like I said, this blue line right here is the discharge. So we'll just push that on as far up as we could get it. And then this is our actual fuel line. We'll just push that up as far as we could get it. Okay. And then we're going to hook up our throttle cable. Now you could see here on this little ring, there's an opening on one side and not on the other. So we want the opening facing out this way so that this piece goes in, slides in, and stays. Just like that. Okay. And then our gasket must have came off with our old carburetor. Yeah, here's our gasket right here. This is the old gasket that fell down. And then here's the gasket we're going to be replacing it with. So what I like to do, we already have our bolts in here. I like to feed it in through the carburetor. And just be careful your throttle cable doesn't come off. And then I like to put our gasket over the bolts. Like that. And just kind of feed them over the threads. And then we're going to put the bolts into the trimmer. You might need to kind of pull these bolts out a little bit to give you some room. Okay, so just like that. And then we'll start them with our Phillips. And this kind of, that way it just kind of ensures that you're getting the bolts through the carburetor, through the gasket. And then we're just going to tighten this back down. And I'm going to go ahead and put a new air filter in, the one that Hypa gave us. So we're just going to put that in just like that. Take this old one out. And just take note of the way this cover goes on. You can see the little instructions point this way and up. And then this piece right here goes back up so that your choke is facing up. Okay. And then we could go ahead and tighten our wing nut back down. And like I said, it's a very easy repair. It's a pretty quick way of getting your machine back up and running smoothly. So if you guys have any questions on this video, be sure to reach out in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, if this video helped you out, be sure to like it, be sure to subscribe to the channel, check out all my other tool and DIY videos. And yeah, guys, that pretty much does it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.